You are now listening to the Fighting Back Podcast, and here's your host, Jessica Travis. You are now listening to the Fighting Back Podcast, and here's your host, Jessica Travis. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to a brand new episode, a live episode of the Fighting Back Podcast. This is a sidebar episode, and of course, I am joined by the lovely Jessica Travis. How you doing?
I am so excited to be doing a live episode. This is so cool.
Yeah, we got a couple of new features. We're actually live on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We got a couple of LinkedIns coming in right now. And oh, look at this. Like we have one of our, look at that, Gabby just screaming in first.
What? Love that.
So the one big thing, and look at the team support coming in right there. Look, Oscar Salgado, one of our strong immigration attorneys right there.
We have the best team. I say this all the time in so many different ways, but I am so happy about our team. We really do have the best team ever. It's amazing. It's so great.
That it is. And the first big thing that we want to talk about is we want to address the Valentine's free divorce giveaway. Now, at the beginning of January, we started off with the Valentine's free divorce giveaway to give a lucky winner the opportunity to get a free divorce. All right. And that's a lot right there. And we laid out guide rules, we laid out requirements and the things that they needed to do in order to apply and register. And
because there are rules for everything.
There are a lot of rules for everything. And the last thing we want to do is break rules, right?
True story.
So we received a bunch of entries, but they did not meet the requirements that we had outlined for the official rules. So unfortunately, we do not have a qualifying winner this year. And here at Fighter Law, believe me, integrity matters. And when we set rules, we honor them. We appreciate the interest, the follows, the shares, everything that we got from this campaign. But we look forward to bringing you other giveaways in the near future. And read the rules. That's all I will say. And thank you so much. So, Jessica, you ready for some questions?
Let's do it.
So,
I'm excited.
We got a couple, and look at this again with the whoop whoops. Look at that. We got Rosa coming in. Love your team too. Yes.
Yes.
So we got a couple of questions, and we got not only do we have family law questions, but we got some criminal questions. I mean, criminal defense, some estate planning, along with some personal injury.
Yeah, I hope one of your questions isn't how can I commit a crime? Because I can't answer that.
No, none of them are. I just paused. I'm like, are any of them?
Be like, wait a second. No.
Oh, actually, this is a perfect one right here. How long does a divorce typically last?
And I feel like there may be a drinking game out there somewhere for the amount of times that I say it depends.
Yes, the famous it depends.
Yes, because the answer to this question is it depends. Sometimes divorces can be done fairly quickly in a matter of months. There's a process that's involved, the petition, the service, the responses, the filing of all the documents. But divorces can take as little as 3 to 4 months sometimes, but they can also take much longer. I've seen some divorces that take years, 4, 5, 6 years, and the divorce is not finalized or complete yet. So it really is such a wide range of time that it takes for the divorce. And it really depends on the people who are involved, what they agree on, what they don't agree on, and the issues that are involved in the case.
Okay. Good question. Thank you, Oscar, for that one. And look at that, John jumping in. Fighter Law!
Yeah.
He's actually, John is our fighter of the month.
He is well-deserved fighter of the month.
Amen. All right. So first question coming in right now from the viewers. If I'm pulled over, do I have to answer every question the officer asks me? That's actually a
Mm.
pretty strong question. So,
That is a good question. And that answer really is yes and no. Um, no, you don't have to answer every question the officer asks you if you're being pulled over. However, if you're being pulled over, there's are some questions that you must answer police officers, and that is background information: your name, your address, your license, your registration, your insurance information. If you're involved in a crash, you have to disclose to the other driver and to law enforcement if they ask about how the crash happened and what went on with it. So there are situations when, yes, you absolutely have to answer the officer's questions.
oh,
However, there's still a Fifth Amendment right to remain silent.
ooh,
So if the officer asks you any incriminating statements, any statements that could be used against you in the future, like, have you been drinking tonight?
mm,
How fast were you going?
what seems to be the officer problem?
Right. Those questions you don't have to answer because you do have that Fifth Amendment right to remain silent.
Okay. All right. Good to know. So, choose your words wisely, I think would be the best way to summarize that. So, next question coming in. Can you elaborate on how to qualify for a sealment or expungement?
Absolutely. So you are eligible to have a criminal case sealed if you've received a withhold of adjudication. So that means you were not adjudicated guilty or formally found guilty of the charge. And you're eligible for an expungement if the case was dismissed or if the charge has been sealed for the past 10 years.
Mm,
Now, this only applies to criminal cases. If you have an adjudication of guilt anywhere in your past or your background, you don't qualify for a sealing or an expungement.
mm.
And um, if you have more than one criminal case, you can only be eligible to have one sealing or one expungement in your entire life.
Oh, okay. So, choose wisely kind of thing.
Choose wisely.
Oh, ooh, Stephanie jumping in right here and saying, if I get stopped for a DUI, should I take the breathalyzer test?
And I think we did a sidebar episode before on this whole subject. We
Yes.
talked about DUIs for a while. So my short answer is going to be it depends.
Mhm.
My longer answer is going to be if you want more detailed information, take a listen to that sidebar episode. We really delve into, do you take the breathalyzer test? Do you not? What are the consequences if you refuse a breathalyzer test? You talk about license suspensions. Can it be used in court as a consciousness of guilt? The short answer is should you take it? That's going to depend on your specific situation and what's going on.
Mhm.
But the consequences and the pros and cons of the breathalyzer test, listen to our sidebar episode for that one.
Beautiful. And the only thing, since I'm not a lawyer and I can't give legal advice, as a person who likes to have fun and enjoy a drink or two, here's the thing, guys. An Uber, a Lyft, that's going to cost you 20, 40, $50 maybe, depending on the distance and depending on the time. A
DUI
towing,
can cost you a lot.
oh yeah, no, and your car being towed can cost you anywhere between $130 to about $200, depending on where it is.
Right.
So that right there, maybe $250 if you've had too much to drink. Now, Jessica, how much does an average DUI cost someone?
A lot more than $250.
A lot more. Huh?
Yeah.
407 344 4837. If you or someone you know is facing a DUI charge or you have questions about a DUI, give us a call. Or if you want to send us an email with your questions, send it to help@fighterlaw.com. All right. So we got, let's see, next question coming in. Can child support be modified if one parent loses their job?
Yes, it can.
Okay.
So child support can be modified if there is a difference of 25% or $50 with the modification. However, the caveat with losing your job is this: if it's a temporary job loss,
Mhm.
in that you've lost your job, but you're applying and you're going to get another job next week that pays the same, you can't do a modification because it's not a permanent change.
Okay.
Also, if it's something where you lost your job because you quit, that's a voluntary unemployment, and that's not a basis to have your child support changed as well.
Hmm.
So, the only time that you can have a child support modification is if it is a substantial which losing your job would be substantial, and a permanent change, and one that's not voluntary.
Ooh, we got a message right here saying, very good to know. I think they were talking about the information from a DUI. And yeah, even Gabby saying, yeah, that is so pricey. But let's see, question coming in right now. Actually, this was kind of interesting from Oscar. Is there a new law that you are worried or excited about?
So the laws are changing all the time, and there are typically new laws that come into effect July of every year.
Okay.
So there is some recent legislation that allows child support for adult dependent children. So individuals who are over the age of 18, but have been determined to be dependent because of some type of mental health or disability, developmental disability that causes them to not be able to take care of themselves. So there has been new legislation that was passed that now allows those individuals to seek support from one or both parents. So I'm really excited about that law, really excited about helping those individuals who may need that support from their parents to be able to get it after they turn 18.
Okay. Good to know. All right. We got one coming in right now.
And I thought I saw one from John.
Yes, I'm about to pull that one up right now.
Okay.
Should I carry coverage? Now, for those who don't know, what is UM?
So, John, I am so excited that you asked this question. This is so important. So, coverage is called uninsured motorist coverage. And that is coverage that you keep for yourself in case that the person who hits you and is at fault for the accident either doesn't have insurance coverage or doesn't have enough insurance coverage to cover your personal injury.
Okay.
So this coverage, this coverage is for you. It's on your insurance policy and it's there to cover your injuries and your needs and compensation if you get into an accident where the other person is at fault and they don't have sufficiency. Now, I say this because bodily injury coverage isn't required anymore. So there could be people driving down the road who don't have bodily injury coverage. So if they hit you and they're at fault for the accident, they could have no insurance coverage to cover your damages and your injury.
Oh,
so
wow.
The only way to protect yourself is to have that coverage for you. So it's very important. It's an additional thing that you have to ask your insurance company for. They have to give it to you. If you ask for it, they're going to charge you, obviously. But it's really important coverage that everybody should have.
So I want to add to the whole insurance question because Oscar put one in here and I actually want to know right now. Can I get compensation from my insurance if the accident is my fault?
That is a great question as well. And the answer is yes, to a certain extent. So everybody has personal injury protection benefits through your own insurance. And those personal injury protection benefits, we call them PIP, is a no-fault insurance. So what that means is regardless of who is at fault for the accident, if you are involved in an accident, whether it's your fault or the other person's fault, you get up to $10,000 in PIP coverage and PIP compensation for your injuries.
Wow.
That is just standard. Everybody who has any type of auto insurance has that coverage, and the insurance company has to provide that to you no matter if you are at fault or not.
Okay. All right. Good to know on that one. And I'm just making sure because we got a lot coming in. We don't have that much time. And I love that Rosa asked this question. What happens if I get caught with a gun and don't have a license to carry? Will I get arrested?
So that is a good question because the firearm laws and statutes are really kind of up in the air right now.
Really?
I will also point you, do you remember we did a sidebar episode on this as well, on the open carry ban?
Yes, that's actually one of our very early episodes.
Concealed weapons permit. That's a very early episode we did.
Mhm.
So I'm going to say that question really has a lot of nuance involved. As to the fact that there is an open carry ban, whether or not it's being prosecuted at the moment or whether or not it's deemed constitutional is kind of up in the air. So the answer to your question, Rosa, really is it depends. But I would highly recommend that you check out the sidebar episode that we did on the open carry ban to really get that in-depth information.
All right, and we have time for one more question. I'll put this up here, and because you said prosecutor, and now I have to put it up there. How does the state determine whether a file charges or not? Whether to
Oh,
file charges or not?
well, first of all, to answer that question, I would have to get into the mind of every single prosecutor who is making a decision as to whether or not they're going to file charges in every case. So I can't do that.
Okay.
But I can say generally, when prosecutors, because I used to be a state attorney, I used to work at the state attorney's office making those filing and charging decisions. So I can kind of talk about my experience, not really anybody else's.
Okay.
But in looking at charges, the one thing that you do is you first look at elements. Every criminal charge has a list of elements that the state attorney has to prove in order for that person to be found guilty.
Mhm.
So the first thing that you do is you look to see what are the elements that the state attorney has to prove. And then the second thing is look at the case. Is there enough evidence for each of those elements for the person to be found guilty? So you look at it and say, do I have the proof? Because whether or not somebody did it doesn't really matter.
Ooh.
What matters is whether or not the state attorney can prove it with evidence and with admissible evidence. So, when looking at whether or not to file charges, that's what the state attorney is doing. It's that analysis of what do I have to prove? And do I have the admissible evidence to be able to prove it?
Okay. And I have to put this one up. I swear, Jessica, this is it. This is it. We're done. And we're done after this one.
Okay.
But Zane comes in and says, I heard Tom Brady had all his assets in his mom's name and got away with paying a large a divorce settlement. Can placing all your assets in someone else's names for liability? That's a big loaded question.
That is a big loaded question. And for all of y'all playing at home, it depends. The court is going to look at your assets. The court's going to look at when those assets were transferred, who are they being transferred to. The judges are human. They can tell when people are trying to be shady and trying to pull tricks. So there's a lot of legal means of proper and legal transfers. And then there's a lot of transfers that are done for the sole purpose of fraud and are fraudulent transfers. And the courts really look at the individual cases, look at those transfers to see, does it fall under a legitimate legal transfer? Or is that person trying to defraud the other person and the court by making these transfers?
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you, Zane, for that great question. And as we're wrapping up, Jessica, I'm going to give you the final word, because we learned about insurance, we learned about guns, we learned about expungements a little bit. But
Yeah.
any final words, anything you want to say to the listeners as we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is when we're talking about the law, there isn't a one size fits all, and there isn't a one answer for every single situation. It depends is really a legal nuance, and it really depends on the facts of the specific case. So, what I would recommend if anybody does have questions about specific facts or about specific cases, to call us. We'll be able to go through the facts, go through the case, and really give you legal advice that's tailored for your specific situation.
Thank you so much, 407-344-4837. And we will see y'all next week.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If you found this episode helpful or informative, don't forget to follow us on social media and share this podcast with your friends. Like, follow, subscribe so you never miss a show, and help others know their rights by spreading the word. Your support helps us keep fighting back. The information provided in the Fighting Back podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended as legal advice. Every case is unique and should be reviewed by a qualified attorney who can provide guidance based on the specific facts and circumstances of your case. Listening to this podcast does not create an attorney-client relationship with Fighter Law or any of its attorneys. If you are facing any legal issue, we strongly encourage you to consult with a licensed attorney directly.